Hello there guys, and welcome back to our car modelling tutorial. And today in this episode what I think we'll do is we'll finish off with the wheels. So I think this will be the final episode of the series. Last week we put together the grills. We can see that we've got the body here as well, looking pretty good. So today we're going to go through making some fairly detailed wheels. They're not going to be massively detailed in the interest of time, but we're going to follow a similar method to one of the previous tutorials that we've worked with on this channel. Now, in order to make the wheels effectively, what I like to do is take them into a separate separate file, should I say. Now, one of the problems with this file here, with the actual blueprints that we used, is the wheels that were created by whoever made these blueprints. These look like the actual Agera wheels to me, rather than the Koenigsegg 1.1, because 1.1 are more of a 5-spoke carbon fibre wheel. So what I'm doing today is I'm working in a separate file. Now, I found this quite frustrating and really hard to find a decent image of the wheel that we can actually use as a blueprint, but I think I've settled on this one just here. So we can see we've got a basic center cap. So I believe the wheels on this work on one single wheel bolt in the middle here. More kind of like a Formula 1 car, I would guess. And it's a fairly simple 5-spoke structure. We can see that we've got a vertical line here, and then it kind of breaks off and curves around into the back section, and then we've got the center cap on the front there. So I brought this into a separate file, but again, like I said, it's a fairly low resolution image, so it's not great. Hopefully you guys will be able to find a better one. If not, I'll hopefully remember to link this in the description. If I do forget, just remind me in the comments. We've also got a tyre here that I've imported in. Let's just make this look a little bit nicer. A tyre that I've imported in again. I'll include the OBJ for this in the description as well, because I'm not going to go through making a tyre today, as it's a fairly long process. So we're also not going to be modelling the brakes. I've covered those before in a previous tutorial, which I'll link in the description as well. If you're interested in creating the brakes as well, you can follow along with that video rather than me going through it over again inside here. So I think what we'll do is we'll start modelling with this center point. Now, with our wheels it's a little bit annoying because a few ways that you can do it. We're going to go for the simplest method here today. It does involve a little bit of maths sometimes, but I've modelled enough 5-spoke wheels here to hopefully remember what it is that we have to do. Let's just open this up here. So I'm going to start off with the basic primitive, and the primitive there is a basic cylinder here. Now what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to rotate this here. And I'm working with everything in the centre of the grid, so everything that we want to do with our centred pivot here is we want to hold X and snap that into the centre to make sure that it's exactly where we want it to be. Our tyre here as well, we're going to want to scale down so that it's looking like it's the correct size. So we can see here that the wall of this tyre is considerably smaller than what we already have. So what we'll do is we'll line that up with the actual tread, which we can see on the outside there. And then we will bring in all of the edges here. So what we can do is we can double click on these edges here to select them. And we'll just want to quickly select all of these edges here. And with those edges selected here, we'll come back into our orthographic and we'll just scale that down just so it's the correct height there for the wheel itself. That looks pretty decent. And then what we want to do in doing so is we're going to want to make sure that we're maintaining the actual curvature of the tyre. So we can bring those out as well on the x-axis too. So we can see we've got a nice stretched tyre wall there. Now the wheels on the Koenigsegg are very, very wide, so just make sure we're maintaining that width the best we can just here. Now our interior section here, what we'll do is we'll want to bring this in fairly small just now. And we're going to want this to match roughly that center section there. So So we're going to start off with what it looks like the cap is going to sit on, and then we're going to extrude up and off of this individual point. Now, what we're going to want to do here, again, just get the wireframe on. What we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to create or keep certain aspects of this actual wheel itself. Now we're going to want to keep everything that's going to help us create this first section here. So what we're going to actually want to build first is this kind of spoke, about half of this spoke here, and then we want to duplicate that spoke across. And then what we'll do is we'll have basically one section at the top here, and then we'll duplicate that special all the way around here. So what we're going to want to do then is we're going to want to make sure that we have the correct amount of information inside here. Now there's a few ways we could do this. I did it a little bit different on another video, but what we'll do is we'll maybe have let's see, maybe 3 points that we want to work with here. So let's go for maybe 28. So looks okay. Maybe boost that up to 30. So that means here that we're going to have these 3 points to start with, and then that's going to allow us to build all of our elements up and off of here, which is pretty decent. I think what we'll actually do, we want to make sure that this is going to rotate quite nicely, so we'll go for 25. And what we want to do is we're going to want to keep 5 of these points here, so maybe we'll just delete all of these here. Okay, so we have 5 points inside there. And then we're just going to want to rotate that just so that point's straight. Okay, so we'll rotate that 7 degrees around there, so that looks fine. Okay, and what we're going to want to do is we're just going to want to drop a point in the center here. We can do that by holding shift, and then bring this all the way down here. And obviously as well, what we're going to want to do is take that over there as well. What we'll do real quick is we're just going to bring these points and this point a little bit further up, and then we can delete what we have here too. Okay, so this is going to keep us, or give us, it's going to give us hopefully perfect duplication as we go around here as well. So what we're going to do with this is we'll delete all of our rear facing sections here. So now all we have is an actual flat edge. So we're going to start with our extrusions here, and we're generally going to want to pull on this arrow here to make sure that we're maintaining that same angle as we go up. And we're just going to pull to the outer ridged bit here. And what it looks like to me inside these reference images is that this bobbles out ever so slightly, and then we'll hit extrude again, and we're going to take that, maybe we'll go here, just to the bottom of the actual section itself. I'm just going to take that back in, so we've got a little bit of an in and out there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab the edge, and we're just going to take this one here, and we're going to pull this up, and then we are going to take this all the way back. So we'll do this on the wheel option here, and we'll take all the way back there. So that's going to be roughly the width of the actual face of our alloy wheel itself. So that looks okay. what we want to do is, looks like for now, let's just grab this whole wheel and bring it further forward, just so that we can see, make sure that this section is sitting how it should. Let's change to our component view here, and we'll pull this down, something like that. Okay. So I think with this point here, we're going to want to move this ever so slightly to the left. And we'll maybe bring that down just so we're maintaining curve still, because this is going to be our main section that runs up. So we're going to grab this face here, and we'll just make sure that I've got decent reference images opened up here. Okay. So what it looks like we're going to want to do is we're going to want to extrude this. So here we're going to hit Control, oops, I'm going to grab our edge here, I'm going to hit Control E. I'm going to work on the world option this time, and we are going to take it up, maybe to this shadow here. And it looks like this wants to come out quite considerably there. So it's always important to get that side on depth when it comes to adding details to alloy wheels. We're going to want to do the same, I think, roughly to about here. And we'll keep coming out. We'll do one more extrusion up to maybe here. Maybe a little bit lower. And we'll come out just a little bit more again. And then the rest of this here, if we hit Control E, is going to go all the way up to the top. And keep that nice and straight. So we can see now we've got a nice little bulge in that section there, which looks pretty decent. Now it doesn't matter if it's not 100% just now, because we can scale, use a scale tool to make these a little bit thicker should we need to afterwards. What we want to do as well at this point is grab all the vertices here and just make sure they're as far out as we want them to be. So that looks pretty good. So it looks now what we want to do is grab the edges here. I'm going to hit Control E. I'm going to do this on the world, and we're just going to drag this out to the side here. And we're going to grab all except this edge, and we're going to start pulling them inwards. Maybe something like that. And then we can maybe make it so it gets less and less as we get to this lower section here, and then we're going to just quickly merge these together here. So we can already see now we've started to get that curve around into that section, and then what we're going to do is grab, what we'll also do actually whilst we're here, is we'll start to angle this point down here, and then we'll grab all these final edges here, we'll take those all the way in, like so. What we'll maybe want to do with this is bring that down to about there. And then we'll want this to snap to this point. And then we'll want to grab all of these points here. And we're going to want to pull them in as well, something like that. So it looks to me like that's a little bit too far. So we'll maybe pull them out again, something like so. And then I think what we'll do is we'll grab these points again, we'll hit Control E, and we'll just drag them straight in, maybe straighten them off as well. So bring those straight in there, and so that they're not absolutely straight. We will pull them ever so slightly. And let's do this on the component view just so we're not destroying the angle there. So it looks like here we're going to want to follow a little bit more of a line, so we can pull that out like so. Let's actually just undo that real quick and just make sure that we're on the world view here. And we'll go again. So that looks pretty decent. What we're going to want to do with this now is we're going to want to hit Control D, Control G, and on the negative one on the Z axis even. Scale that down the Z axis, we can see now that we've got the second half of that point there, which looks pretty good. So it looks to me like what we're going to want to do is we are going to want to grab these two sections just now. Okay, let's just make sure that that's so it looks like what we might want to do is grab all of these edges here and just pull them out ever so slightly. So it looks like it wasn't quite maintaining a straight face there, which looks a little bit better. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So what we'll do at this point is we'll grab these two, we'll mesh combine, and we'll quickly just merge all of the center points here. Okay, so it's at this point here that we're going to want to think about how this is going to look when it's smoothed, and then we'll think about duplicating it all around the way here. So let's just have a quick look. So if we hit 3 here and move the wireframe, we can see that we've got a half decent look at what we're working with, which isn't too bad. I think what we want to do is insert a few edge loops around here. So we'll maybe go for one in that lower section there. We'll maybe drop one just here and just pull that out ever so slightly to help show off that curve a little bit more, so we can see we've got a nicer curve now going around there. We also may want to insert an edge loop maybe here. Maybe pull that out a little bit. It looks like these points here we're going to maybe want to pull in a little bit there. So we see now we've got a much nicer curve around there. Okay, so what we're going to want to try is, let's drop in a couple of lines here, and oops, and here. And then what we can do is we can go straight across the way there. And I'm going to insert an edge loop which is going to follow this line up here and here. And then we can join those and join those. Okay, so we can see now we've got a fairly defined line, but not too defined, just enough to catch the light which goes around there. And we can see that it stops at the bottom, which doesn't look too bad. It looks roughly about what it is that we're needing, which is good. It looks like we need an edge loop down here and here. Let's just quickly test that. We don't want to keep this in just yet. Okay, so that looks okay. But I think what we'll want when we come to add that, we don't want to add the ones in just yet. I think what we'll do is maybe put that bit further around, and then what we'll do is we'll drop another down there, so that looks good. So what we're going to want to do now is we're going to want to duplicate this special, and we're going to get this on the rotation. Before I do, let me just bring open this. Right, so what we're going to want to do is we are going to want to edit, and we are going to want to duplicate special here. Now before we do anything, we want to make sure that our pivot is sitting exactly in the center here. So we are going to hold D, and we are going to hold X. I'm going to snap that to the grid just down there. Now it doesn't matter if it's behind or if it's exactly on the point there. It should just duplicate still quite nicely. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to hit duplicate special here. So we're going to want to create an instance, that's fine. Our scale here we're going to want to keep as 1 on all sides. We are going to want to rotate here, and we're going to want to rotate, it looks like, on the x-axis. So we'll call that 72. We want 4 copies. And then we can hit duplicate special there, and we can see now that that's all come around there quite nicely. So we can see that we've got the basis of the wheel there. So we can see here what we did was we added 72 here to our x-axis, which means that's going to rotate around the x-axis 72 degrees. The reason we chose 72 is because 360 degrees divided by 5 is 72. And then the number of copies here, we wanted 4, but I've added 5, so I've just deleted that extra one up there. So all of these are now instances of each other, which is fine. Actually, I think what the problem there is going to be is we're going to want to... Oh no, that should be fine. No, it should be fine. So it looks like we've got all of the information down the center that we want. So we're going to want to grab all these points here, and we're going to want to... we're going to want to edit mesh, we're going to want to mesh, sorry, and we are going to want to combine all these together. And what I'm going to do real quick is I'm just going to run through and merge all of these together. I'll speed this up real quick, and then we'll crack on with the rest. Okay, so we've got all those linked together there, looking quite nice. What we're going to do is quickly just insert some last edge loops. So we're going to want one around here, going all the way around down here. Like so. And then we'll drop one around here, just to help kind of maintain around there as well. So we'll hit 3 on this one last time, remove the wireframe, so we can see there, that's looking pretty decent, but I still don't think it's got quite the curve in this center section as the wheel does. So what we can do is we can select this here, we'll grab our scale tool, and we'll just pull out on the x-axis here. That's just going to help any curve there look a little bit more prominent, so that's looking pretty decent. So that looks good to me. So we're going to want to quickly make the center cap as well. So we have a center cap which is going to go in this middle section. We're going to make this out of a primitive once more, and we're going to rotate this around like so. Let's just grab our rotate to 90 degrees, and we're going to want to scale this right down to something like that. And the width of this looks something like that. So it looks like it doesn't protrude much further than the actual wheel itself. So it looks something like that. Maybe again we'll go a little bit smaller here, like so. So this actually has some ridges on it. So let's just look inside here. We've got one. Looks to me like it's got 15 ridges. So what we'll probably do then is we'll probably give this 30 subdivisions, and then what that means is we can then work on every second one. But what we'll do first is we're going to insert an edge loop, and we are going to insert one at the back here, maybe a little bit closer, and then we're going to insert one at the front too. And what we're going to do here is we're going to select all of these back sections along with each intermittent front section here, and we're going to leave this lip on the front as well. Before we do that though, it looks like actually it's the extrusions that go all the way there. So it actually looks like if we scale this down, let's X-ray this. If we actually scale this down, we can see that this is the point of the actual center itself, and then the rest extrudes out. So take that down, and we'll go back to our faces here. Okay, so we've grabbed all the rear ones, we've grabbed all the side ones, we've left all the ones on the front, and we'll hit Control E on this, and on the Z axis here we're just going to pull up, like so. So that looks pretty good. Okay, so because we've scaled this down, we still want to maintain that width, so we're just going to scale that out again. Okay, actually looks like it actually looks like maybe these start ever so slightly back. So actually looks like it's maybe a little bit more like that on my image. Okay, that looks pretty decent. Maybe it's a little bit smaller. Grab all these points here. Scale those up. Looks actually like it's a little bit more like that. And maybe a little bit of angle here won't hurt as well. I'm just going to go into the side view and just make sure that this portion here is not coming out any further. So that looks pretty good. So what we'll do is this edge here we're going to bevel, and we'll add a couple of segments in here. Take that down 0.2, and we'll go 0.3. Okay. What we'll also want to do is insert some edge loops, because again we're going to want to smooth this. So we'll insert an edge loop here, and we'll add another one just to help. We'll drop one around here, we'll go up here, and here. Okay, so we can see that we've got nice smooth sections there, which looks just like it does on the actual section itself. So that looks pretty good, I think. Maybe it comes out a little bit too far. Take it in. There we go, that looks a little bit better there. Okay, that looks good. So we'll grab these here and just push those inside the actual wheel itself. So what we'll do now real quick is we'll make the outer rim section. And for this here we're simply just going to create a quick pipe. And if I can grab this, there we go. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to increase the radius here, because we don't want to end up having to smooth this. So we'll increase the subdivisions here to something like 40. Thickness, we'll go for 0.1. Yeah, that should be fine because we can edit that. And then we're just going to want to simply rotate this around here 90 degrees again. And what we'll also do is we will snap that into the center of the grid, like so. We'll scale it up. So it's sitting just with the tire. So that looks okay. And then it looks like we just want to increase So it looks like maybe this wheel's actually got a little bit of camber on it. Okay, that's better. bring that down so it's roughly just poking out from the actual tire wall itself. Yeah, that looks good. So what we're going to want to do with this is, let's grab these points here and let's bring these forward. So what we're going to want to do is we're just going to want to align this up quite nicely with the rest of the wheel. So what it looks like is that we have an edge here which we really want to maintain, and this edge along with this edge, let's actually stick one on that side as well. Doesn't really matter where because we won't see too much of that. This edge here we're going to want to actually scale in, something like that, and then we're going to want to take that in as well. Maybe have that match up with the section of the wheel there. Okay, so let's smooth this and this. And what we want to do is we just want to really line this up just so it fades straight into that point there. So I think what we'll also want to do is, I think we are going to have to smooth this anyway, so we'll grab this, we'll bevel it and turn that fraction down. And maybe add 3 segments inside. We can insert an edge loop in there somewhere. What I'm actually going to do is just going to pull that in so it gives a nice little bend, and then finally what we'll do is with this point here as well, we're going to bevel this too. Maybe a little bit larger. Maybe leave that at 0.5. And then it looks like this edge here. And we'll do this at 1 at the same time. Looks like this is also going to want to be beveled, so we will bevel this too. Maybe turn the fraction all the way down. We'll go 0.1 and 2 segments inside there. We can hit smooth on that, and we can see that that's got a nice shape to it. So I think that's all we'll do for the wheel for this car. And then what we're going to do is simply just unsmooth everything. We're going to grab all of these segments here. We are going to hit copy. And paste. And sometimes what's going to happen with these elements is they're going to move in like this, but what we can do at this point is we can hit mesh, combine, and then we'll be able to pull them out at once. And the reason we're going to combine them here is because that will allow us to simply combine all those elements together. Now what we're going to do at this point is, after copying this in, we are going to pull our wheel up so that it's sitting on the grid. And what we want to do is we want to hold X and want to snap that to a grid point, and then we can move this into position, and we want it so that's sitting roughly just on the actual grid point at the bottom. We're going to hold down D. We're going to hold down D and X, and we're going to snap our center pivot here to that same grid point, so we see now we have our pivot at the bottom. And that's going to allow us to scale and move it from the actual bottom point there. And then it's really just a case of pulling it into position here. So if I line this up with my existing wheel, pull that up into position here. And then just delete the old one. Okay, so we see that that's looking a whole lot better with its actual wheel there inside. And then for the rear, what we're going to do is just going to hit Ctrl D to duplicate this back. And one of the main points of having the pivot at the bottom here means now that when we scale this wheel up, because the rear wheels on supercars are always a little bit bigger, it means it's going to maintain that same ground position. So we'll scale that up like so. And what we'll maybe do is we'll just scale that out so it's covering the same distance, and I'll just delete that wheel inside there. So we can see now I've got some very cool looking wheels inside there. Like I said, I'll link in the description here for the brakes. What we could maybe do at this point is we'll separate these again, and we'll grab all these points here. We'll just hit 3 so they're nice and smooth. We'll do the same here. So all it really needs now is some brakes inside there, just to really set that off. But I hope you enjoyed the series so far. Well, now it's concluded, I hope you've enjoyed the series in total, should I say. We've got our wheels on there, we've got the car here looking pretty good. I think if I had more time, we could have some areas that I could refine out a little bit. I'll probably do that once the tutorial's finished before it goes in the old portfolio. There are a few sections in here that are still yet to complete, such as these areas and the bumpers here, but I'm sure by now you guys could have a crack at that yourselves, should you need to. The next tutorial series is going to be based on the BMW M4. Now that was decided by the guys who like the Facebook page, so if you guys are keen, you follow along the channel quite well, and you want to get in on that next choice and have some serious input into that, we generally do a discussion on Facebook. We give out a few options and you guys choose which ones you'd rather see, and this time around we're going to be doing the BMW M4, so if you want to be involved in the next decision and the next actual car that we choose, because there's just too many comments on YouTube here for us to keep up with, make sure you like us on Facebook, jump on the Facebook page and you can get on that discussion with us. Okay guys, so I hope you enjoyed the series and hope your model's looking pretty good. As usual, make sure you link us. Our website's still in development, it is up at the moment, 852.com, but we are going to be holding, we're going to have user galleries inside there where it's going to show all the renders that people do send us. We've got a whole host of those so far from our previous tutorial. It'll be nice to get a few renders for this one as well. Okay guys, cool.